toxic, mentally ill woman will F up your life. Welcome to Socially Inept Thoughts. My name is Clint. If you guys could, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. Really help the channel. I love what I'm doing here. So yeah, it's been a crazy week. So yeah, let's get back to the video. I'm gonna come out and say it. I hate the word toxic. It's way overused. But you know what? The algorithm loves it. But look, the word toxic and verbal abuse, which I'm not gonna get because verbal, you know, that's a little sketchy. But so we're gonna stick with toxic, mentally ill woman, you know. And look, you can always make it toxic, mentally ill men. There's guys that punch plaster walls and intimidate women are pieces of shit. I'm gonna stick to toxic woman right now. I would say, look, since this is a mostly guy fan base, and we have sometimes, for one, we have rationalized a lot of woman behavior, and we just use the term, that's just how women are, they're crazy. And we rationalize a lot of BS when really there's just a lot of mentally ill people. And it's not a joke at this point. And I have been fortunate enough. I'm fortunate because I have content, but I have been with, I would say, a couple that have been legitimately mentally ill. Like, there's standards of levels of like, women are just kind of crazy, unreasonable. I'm talking about like mentally ill women that have extreme sources of probably like mood, bipolar type of shit. And it's actually active. Women that have like borderline personality. Women that if you say no to them, manipulation just starts coming out of the woodworks. They'll apologize, and then 2 days later, keep doing the same shit. Like, that was my most recent situation. Luckily, I was mature enough to never really take it personally because I understood none of this shit's about me. And if you add any past trauma that comes with people that are already mentally ill, like, you're basically just a avenue. You're basically just a vehicle for them to channel that out to and from. And that's also another thing. When you're a low maintenance guy, sometimes it causes more stress on them because since you're not, quote unquote, as they say, direct in what matters to you, they start trying to overdo everything, and then they start feeling like they're doing everything, when in reality, I don't need you to do anything. But people that are mentally ill, they start taking on roles that no one asked them to, and just so they can say that they, quote unquote, did everything they could. But what I want to get back into is a toxic, mentally ill woman. The manipulation is at an all-time high. You've got to see what it is in real time. You got to see it for what it is in real time. And here's the number one thing with these type of women. Do not engage when they're going on these rants, when they're going on these extreme arguments with you about what you are and what you're not, how you make them unhappy, and this, that, and the other. Do not engage. State your point of view and ignore the rest. They will obsess with you taking accountability for a situation they created. It's not about love with them, it's about validation that everyone else is the problem in their life and not them. The more validation she stresses from you, the more she can rationalize cheating on you. There's a lot to get into there. So, when you're dealing with people that are legitimately mentally unwell, we'll just say that, mentally unwell, or just emotionally unwell, the lens that they are coming from is because you aren't matching their intensity of emotion, whether that's anger, happiness, or sadness. They think that you don't care, when in reality, the reason why they express those extreme emotions is because they know outside of intensity, and in some cases lust, they don't have much to offer. As crazy as that sounds, and that's going to sound pretty cold-hearted, so that's when the accusations, that's when the manipulation comes, that's when their way of building themselves up is by tearing down at intricate fallacies of yourself. They will start saying things like, you weren't there for me this one time. We don't do this enough. Oh, you said you would be more like this and you're not. I need a man that's like this and blah blah blah. And then literally the next day they'll be talking about, you're the man of my dreams. I'm sorry for everything, blah blah blah. And then you hang out and things are great. And then literally half a day later, if you don't respond overnight because, you were busy as shit, you wake up to 12 texts. 5 of them talks about how much they miss you, how great you are. Then it's, I feel like such a clown. I can't believe I put this much time into you. Leave me the hell alone. And it's so much, you don't really even know where to start. So what happens is now you got two sides of how great and how not great you are. You can't reasonably respond to it all, because all you're doing is feeding that these things in their head have validation. What you respond to is what they will accept as validation. So if you respond to, I miss you, to all this stuff, and then you respond to, oh, you think I'm this, blah, 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 and you respond to the positive and the negative, you're giving validation to both. And now those will always be weaponized because you've opened that portal that this is fair game. I hate to say that the ignoring shit, unfortunately, ignoring women does work when they're acting like a child. And a lot of these toxic, mentally ill women, they are childish. It's childish behavior. And we disguise it as, it's just women being crazy. It's not. As a grown man, as a young man, you need to be able to identify this pretty quickly and not engage in it. And when I was dealing with this person, your algorithm starts feeding you about narcissists. And I'm very careful to not just label people. Like, women are very easy to just label everyone that says no to them a narcissist and toxic. Every guy that a girl's been with is narcissist or toxic if they didn't get what they wanted out of it. And I'm not a medical expert. 2, people are complex. There are things I have an ego about. There are things that no one can tell me anything about. I don't care to listen to them. It's not going to change my mind. Does that make me a narcissist? No. There's just certain things I'm pretty certain about, and I don't see the value in hearing someone trying to convince me otherwise. It doesn't make me narcissist or egotistical. It just makes it where I don't care enough. Right? You can't care about everything. But they will use these buzz, keyword, Instagram, YouTube terms to rationalize these relationship experts. Therapy will solve everything. Honestly, I'm coming to more belief. I think mentally ill narcissist women love therapy because you can always talk in circles around things, and eventually you can make something about what it's not. If you talk about something long enough, you can convince yourself of just about anything. But as a young man, when you are dealing with these crazy type of women, the dangerous part is you can't just break up with them and go about your life and block them. What they'll do is, you know, and I kind of had to watch some videos about this stuff, and there is a way you have to ease away from these type of people. You have to make them feel like they are the ones. They will break up with you multiple times, threaten to leave you, and when you finally do it, they will sit there and they will reach out like, I'm not just gonna stop talking to you. I want to talk to you. I love you and all this stuff. Like I'm not just gonna. You're gonna have to. They always put it in you're gonna have to block me now. It's like you've wanted to break up with me 15 different times in 2 months, but they put the onus on you. Like, well, you know what? I'm trying to make it work. They're like, I take accountability the fact that I've been a little crazy, but I'm still here. They try to do the I'm still here thing. It's manipulation. And then so when you finally block them, then on the next person they're with, they tell you, yeah, I was ghosted. He was narcissist, he was toxic, he blocked me. He was probably out cheating with someone else. When they have put you in a corner to where you're gonna have to just be the bad guy. You cut it off like that. There's no direct way to where it can go sane. You have to do it in such a way where it's a gradual decline. You have to make them uninterested. You have to manipulate the manipulator. This is game on game, bro. You have to manipulate the narcissist by doing what they do. You have to get your mind all fucked up in how they think. And you have to kind of enter that toxic territory. Just so it can actually, if you are worried, like, if a girl's like maybe physically crazy, where she might like physically try to pull up and slash your tires or do some shit, you know, there is a safe way. It's almost like the equivalent of when a woman's in an abusive relationship with her husband and she can't just leave because of financial implications, and if she tells him she's gonna leave, that could put her life in more danger, so she kind of has to pretend everything's good and then have an escape plan. It's kind of that way as a guy when you're dealing with a woman that is insane and toxic, is you kind of have to gradually copy their behavior. You have to make everything seem like you guys are fine, and that there's no hatred, and that there's a chance that you could be friends even if you don't want to be friends. Because in their minds, everything is either this or it's this. And everything's about serving themselves. So they convince themselves that everything that's wrong about you is what's the problem with y'all. They are obsessed with, they will say here this and that. You can say one thing about, look, I take accountability for me not being in this position, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, oh, that's all I wanted to hear. I'm glad you acknowledged that. It's like, I just listed 10 things about you. You focus on the one thing. Look, I take accountability for the situation. But they're like, the but doesn't matter. You take accountability. You're like, what the fuck? And that's the fucked up part. You cannot take these people at face value or serious. It's a scary, fucked up game. Now, the older you get, you got to be able to identify these traits as quick as possible before you get too deep with someone. But unfortunately, like I'll say from my last situation, it was literally a week or two after like we became official. All these things, like, and I knew this person for a long time beforehand. Never like too close, but I met them years and years ago when we worked at a job together. And to see, like, this is the definition of you could be around someone a lot in certain social capacities and work. You do not know someone until you're just around them in personal capacities in real life. Because eventually people will put on a mask to impress you because they want to be with you and stuff. But then once they quote unquote got you, you're together and you're relatively like, taking a serious step, the expectations change. and what they truly want comes out, and what they truly, how they operate in these things come out. Then you understand a lot about why a lot of the situations they've been in have happened the way they have. And they'll say you're just another shitty guy they chose. They're tired of dating bums and broke men. When in reality, for most of y'all's time that you've known each other, they've been the more of the bum and broke the whole time. That's always the funniest part. But the point I'm trying to make is man, like, you gotta be able to identify, and you gotta slowly phase yourself out. Because just being, you can cause a lot more chaos just by being direct when it's that insanity. When you're dealing with people that will send you 20 straight texts. And there are a multitude of, I miss you, the leave me the fuck alone, this, that, and you're like it honestly feels like you're talking to a 13-year-old teenager, but this is a grown person you are managing an emotion of. And as a guy, if you're really someone that has shit you care about, you don't have time for that shit. You may have the physical time, the text and stuff, but if you truly want to be able to focus on what you're doing, it will creep into that. It will eventually, no matter how positive, no matter how hardworking, any of that stuff, it will take away from those things. It's human nature. Like, you're not indestructible when it comes to that stuff. It will slowly just take out of you. So, the point I'm trying to make is when it comes to this stuff, man, don't lie to yourself about, that's just how women are. It's not. Yes, do women have hormones, mood swings, and all that stuff? Are women complicated? Are women difficult? Are they unreasonable in some cases? Yes. But when you are dealing with a psychotic person and you know it, and then you have to start bearing the responsibility for someone's lack of competency with themselves, of stuff they never worked through with themselves, you're entering a very, very scary and dangerous territory for yourself. And you just do not have the time to deal with it. You shouldn't. Because it will become your life. Like, think about if you were to have somewhere to happen. You were to have a child with this person. You're dealing with that the rest of your fucking life. And that's something like, you get caught up in love and lust and stuff like that. You really got to think about. I do not care if it's some girl that you just met for a couple weeks. And like, you got to think about if something were to happen. If I were to get this woman pregnant, and women need to start thinking about this with the guys they have babies with, or the guys they have sex with. Obviously, be safe with people that you wouldn't want kids with. But you probably shouldn't, as the older you get, you shouldn't be having sex with people that if something were to happen and this person were to have my child, what does that life even look like? And that's something, man, you've really got to think about. I know it's like not the fun thing to do when you start talking to someone and when you start seeing someone, but like, you really got to think about, like, what if I were to have a child with this person, what would that life look like? And for the most part, as a guy, you would know whether it would be a miserable experience or might not be that bad, So, look, I'm going to wrap it up with this because, I have to have a birthday party to go to. But I'll just say this, don't rationalize absolute insanity with women. Do not do it. So yeah, that was Socially Inept Thoughts. My name is Clint. If you guys could, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. So yeah. Me.